I, Dr. Vaishali Gupta, PG second year scholar of Department of Rashas and Bhasas Kalpana, IMS BHU, is going to host this session. Before proceeding further, I, uh, I would like to invite coordinator of the session, Dr. Kiran Kumar Reddy, Associate Professor in Department of Rashas and Bhasas Kalpana from Department of Sharlatantra from Guru Gorakshnath Institute of Medical Sciences. Now, I would like to invite chairperson of this session, Professor Sangeeta Gehlot, HOD in Department of Kriya Sharir, IMS PHU, and co-chairperson, Dr. Chetan Sahani, Associate Professor in Department of Anatomy, AIMS Gorakhpur, to be on the dais and grace the occasion with their presence. I humbly request coordinator of this session to escort our chairperson and co-chairperson on the dais. Now, I invite the coordinator of this session, Dr. Kiran Kumar Reddy, to introduce our chairperson and co-chairperson to the delegates briefly. The dais is yours, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, our co-chairperson is Dr. Chetan Sahani, sir. He is the Associate Professor, Department of Anatomy, All India Institute of Ayurveda, Gorakhpur. Over a decade, a dedicated teaching in human anatomy at reputed government institutions. He has successfully coached and guided thousands of aspirating medical students, designed and utilized progressive assessment methods, including problem-solving scenarios, case-based discussions, and collaborative projects. And his educational qualification is he is a MBBS, Bachelor of Medicine from GSVM Medical College, Kanpur, and completed MD from Department of Anatomy, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, and PG DHCM from Institute of Management, Banaras Hindu University. And his experience is, sir has a lot of experience in research. He has undertaken a lot of research projects like project details like ICMR, Investigator Initiated Research Small Extramural Grants, then second project, third project. Sir has completed 3 projects. Then overall laboratory skills he has also developed like cytogenic and molecular analytical techniques, including cryptogenic fish, RT-PCR, QF-PCR, and Sanger sequencing, NGS, all these things. Then sir has done more than 35 publications in reputed and Scopus journals. And sir has conducted many conferences, workshops, symposiums, and attended and conducted personally. Sir has conducted 1 week high-end workshop on Karyashala and conducted hands-on training program on cryptogenic and quantitative fluorescent polymerase chain reaction techniques. Then sir has done many workshops on genomics and cytogenic studies. So we are happy to have him as a co-chairperson of this session. Next, I am going to invite the main chairperson of this session, Dr. Sangeeta Gehlot. Madam is Professor and HOD of the Department of Field of Kriya Sharira. Madam has experience of professionally 28 years, research 27 years, and teaching 26 years of experience. Madam has guided and supervised 10 plus scholars of MD and MD. Then PhD scholars, she has guided 16 plus. And Madam has published more than 100 articles. Then she has contributions in 11 chapters in different 21 textbooks. Madam has edited 2 books, written 7 books, conferences attended 80 plus, invited as a guest lecturer and delivered guest lectures in more than 80 plus, and Madam has near about 7 radio talks. So Madam has the Best PhD Thesis Award for 2006, Best Moral Teacher Award in 2008. Administrative experience is more than 12 plus years. We are thankful to have such a great personality as a chairperson of this session. Now, I would like to give my report here to introduce the session. So first session is Dr. K. Deepak sir. He is an IA from IIT New Delhi, and the topic is Yoga for Astronauts and its Scientific Basis, which will be an online session. Thank you. Now we will start the online session.
Dr. Deepak,
Yes,
can you
good
hear me?
afternoon. Namaskar ji. I request to permit me to join from my computer. I've been
Yeah,
so
please proceed. Please proceed. Please proceed.
so no. Do you see me? Do you see my slides?
No, we are seeing you, but your slides we could not see.
Okay, right.
We are seeing you, but your
Okay.
slides we could not see. We are seeing your photo.
Now do you see the slide?
Now we are able to see the slides.
Slide number 1 you see?
Yes.
Right.
But
Can
you
you-
make a slideshow, it will be elaborated.
Okay, right.
It is in small size.
Okay, 1 minute. Do you see the slide now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So नमस्कार जी सभी महानुभावों को मेरा नमस्कार थैंक यू सो मच to the university international conference which is being organized by Mahayogi Gorakhnath University and this is an opportunity for me to share our work on how yoga for astronaut and its scientific basis I worked at AIMS New Delhi for nearly 4 decades. Now I'm a full-time visiting professor at IIT Delhi, helping medical sciences developing devices used in space and other places. Do you see the second slide? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the India is at the threshold of going to space. As you know, the current the capacity India is trying to get the docking of two space bodies in the space, which is a very big thing which India is going to achieve. And before that, we had Chandrayaan mission 2008, and now we want to send a human to the space. Already some astronauts have been trained, and they are waiting for to go. So these are the modules which have been prepared by this. Three people can sit together and go to the moon. But India has a much larger mission. So current topic, I'm trying to tell you how I got interested in doing space research. So 1992, I created a blood pressure simulation model which can produce blood pressure at a given heart rate, and which was later used by NASA. Also designed and patented a pro-gravity body gear for the gravitational loading. So when you go to space, you are floating, you don't have body weight. So if you don't have body weight, your muscles do not work, and therefore this device would be helpful. Also patent has been filed, and they're under examination for artificial gravity generation, because you need to generate artificial gravity, and also how to do push-up exercises in space, and that's what this thing. So this is the model which I created in 1992, which has been already published long back, which could produce blood pressure for the human being. There's a motor, and there's a flow. The water is flowing, and it can produce 120 by 80 blood pressure at the given heart rate. That heart rate I maintained at 60. And later, NASA used our model in space exploration, in space experimentation. This model, which was published in 1992, was miniaturized by NASA and put this in space. So the models which I used, created for the teaching, has been later used by NASA for the research. So the models have dual utility, and this is already published by them, but we don't have access to the data because it's housed securely. So we have an experimental setup in our laboratory where we can perform microgravity experiments in human being. So we have, for more than a decade, we have been working, and the large data has been collected by using this model. I set up a space physiology lab at AIMS in 2013, and since then this lab has been working. It has a -6 degree tilt facility, head up tilt, and also lower body negative pressure. So what inspired us is that in 2014 I visited NASA as just a tourist, and I was very much impressed the kind of infrastructure and the philosophy they had. They had a philosophy that someone of us should go to the frontiers and then lead us. Further, why yoga in space? 2015, Honorable Prime Minister gave a call, Prime Minister Mr. Modi, that we should have in-depth Indo-US research collaboration. So I became instrumental for getting an MOU between AIMS and UCSD USA, and under this I proposed some kind of a creating the project in which yoga can be used in space for the astronauts. So why yoga? The scientific basis I'm going to talk about. The microgravity, which means less gravity or no gravity, actually results in a loss of load, and therefore loss of any muscle tension. And when the muscle do not work, so you can float in air, but on earth we have to stand, and for standing we require an effort. For jumping from the earth we require an effort, but in space you can jump to any extent because there is no gravity. So because of no use of muscles, the loss of the mineral density of the weight bearing bones, which the bones which carry a weight, which means the long bones and the spine, can be as high as 1% per month. 1% per month is a big loss. This is the loss which occurs only very elderly people. So it looks like as if you go to a space, you start aging because the same thing happens in aging. So the 70 or 80 years person, they keep on losing bones. 2 weeks of a space mission can reduce muscle mass of anti-gravity postural muscle by 20%, which means my thigh muscles, my back muscle will be reduced by 20%. So imagine Sunita Williams is there. She was supposed to be there only 2 weeks. And now it's more than 8 or 9 months, and she must be using bones and muscle mass by very severely. It is very difficult to maintain. So this is a serious effect. And also there's a loss of good posture. Now a person looks like as if like jumping like a frog. The muscle becomes hyperactive. You can't maintain a good posture because there's no gravity. Decreased muscle pull on bones, decreased anti-gravity muscles, especially the soleus, which help us to stand up. So what has been published earlier by the Eastern research. This is research from Japan, and this has been published that 12 yoga poses, 12 minutes a day, can enhance the bone density. And that is the practice of 12 yoga. They measured by DEXA scan among elderly over 2 years, and they found that these 12 yoga poses can enhance the bone strength. And that's what we also already knew, that yoga has a potential to enhance muscle function and bone function. So in this experiment, the yogic exercises improve the bone density, and bone density of those bones which are important, like spine, hip, and femur. And therefore there's a loss of these muscles which can be reversed. So we thought of, why don't we create a yoga protocol for astronauts? So, but the problem, how can you perform yoga in a space when there's no gravity, when you're flying like a bird? So imagine how can bird perform yoga while in the sky? Or imagine if you are in a swimming pool, can you perform all sets of yoga? Imagine, can you perform sun salutation in swimming pool? And that's why this becomes a little problem. So we thought, why don't we create weight of a human body when he's in space, when he loses? Can we create some kind of weight? So in 2015, Prime Minister's initiative to collaborate with the US universities, and we came up with these questions. These are questions I raised. Can an astronaut stand up in microgravity, like in space? Can you do yoga in space? Can astronaut do normal walk in space? If you can't do normal walking, how can you perform a yoga? How can you perform sun salutation, Surya Namaskar? You cannot. So can an astronaut stand up and after return from space, like if you've been exposed to microgravity, you lose a muscles and bone. So when you return from space, you cannot stand up when you come back. They all form. So performing yoga in space, that was the question I raised. And so we developed a logical protocol for uh, during, post flight uh, uh, protocols for yoga. So that I'll come little later. So this is a novel body gear for modulating gravitational loading for doing yoga in space, and that's for the prototype development and validation. So we have done earth validation in details for last 6-7 years we have been doing. So imagine sun salutation has to be performed. This is the example, and in this the gravity is playing a great role. If I'm in space, I cannot perform. The second question, why should I perform this in space? Because it gives you dynamic exercise, spinal flexibility, and yogic exercise involving neck muscles. Therefore, there is a physiological advantage. So, can you perform yoga in microgravity? And that is the big problem. That is the big problem. For that, in fact, I got one paper from IISc. They researched sun salutation and they wanted to see, is my gravity affecting? So they put a gyroscope which can sense the XYZ direction of forces, and they showed, yes, during the sun salutation, your gravitational pulls are put on the body in XYZ axis. In all three directions, this is moving. So it's a wonderful exercise on Earth, and there's different advantages. So therefore, we thought if you want to perform yoga in microgravity, it requires a special suit or body gear to move one part of the body with respect to other part. A body part which touches the floor needs to be set or unset to the floor while performing dynamic exercises. Therefore, we want a fixing of the body to the floor, body movement with respect to other part of body movement with respect to the floor. So while two can be performed without gravity, however, without fixing to the floor and without respect to the body, with the ground, you cannot perform yoga. You have to have, otherwise you will be floating in air. So performing in yoga, so therefore we a pro gravity body gear is needed, which we have already prepared, and it ensures loading of the musculoskeletal system comparable to that of offered by the gravitational pull on the surface of Earth. So I myself wore it, and 60 to 70% or 80% I can do it, and this is what it ensures good musculoskeletal forces. So this is what the postural body weight weighing muscles, from the top to bottom you have a gravitational force. And so we designed this is a material from the patent which is already filed. Like from head to toe we are loading a person with a set of springs, and with the help of velcro magnetic flow we are fixing the whole body to the ground. So there will be a ground available in a space, and there will be loading of the body from head to toe. And this loading can be done up to 50% or 60% or 70%, depending on this. So this is a novel body gear. It has a device by which body can be fixed to the floor, and this patent has already been granted. This looks like this. So when extended, I can wear it, or anybody can wear it. This is how I am wearing. So we published several papers doing validation on Earth, 6 or 7 papers in a very good journals in the West, and therefore this is important part, creating a flow in a space and how to walk in microgravity. And this is a movie. I cannot show a movie here because of limitation, but this movie is available on indiascience.in. This is a Department of Science and Technology which took my interview, and then the YouTube available video is available. So we measured the effect of new body gear on physiological parameters, and then we published. This is how we perform the activity, like resting, 6-degree head down tilt, which is equal to microgravity exposure on Earth, and then control positions with and without body gear. And we have shown it produces the same effect in a microgravity simulation what gravity does while person is standing, and therefore our body gear will be effective on this. And we also showed several other physiological parameters like changes in autonomic nervous system, heart rate, and also heart rate and blood pressure synchrony, which becomes like as if you are standing or when you are relaxed. As when you are relaxed, your heart rate and blood pressure also relaxed, and so by body gear you can show that kind of a relationship. We also performed several studies and showed by at 6 degree the sympathetic nervous system is stimulated, and that's what happens when you stand up. From lying to stand up, this is what happened. So effect of countermeasure body gravity loading body gear on anti-gravity muscles and fluid shift. We have shown that by this the fluid shift occurs lying to standing, and same thing happens. So the front and back when with the body gear, when you wear the body gear, and this is how happens. So this we have shown that this is increased leg resistance at 6 degrees shows that it produces larger fluid shift than horizontal, and that's what we have shown by this. So this was, physiologically speaking, it was useful. We have shown those effects, and now the coming to the question. So this is the basis, scientific basis, that it should be there, but how? This is what is this, and which yoga should be performed. For that, we created a full blown protocol. I myself used this body gear and tried to perform activity on earth. By this, I could comfortably perform all these activities. So I'm not going to these details. Some of it already been published. So the important part, pre-flight, before you go to space, there's the aim of the training to enhance tolerance limit for headward fluid shift. And we published a paper that those who are doing yoga for more than 2 years, they can tolerate the stress produced by the space like maneuvers. And that paper has been published by one of my students, Dr. Ansuya, who is a diplomat now in South Africa, expert on yoga. So this is how we have shown that autonomic conditioning is required, and it improves muscle function. Autonomic conditioning we have already published, and enhanced tolerance limit of head. Those people who have been doing head down posture, obviously they will tolerate fluid shift more. Therefore, pre-flight, what should be done? Function required, enhanced tolerance limit, headstand pose, and other inverted poses, and they should be performed for at least 3 to 4 months before they go to space, and they will improve their physiological function, improve muscle function, dynamic sun salutation. It will improve spinal flexibility, and all these can be performed before going to space. So before going to astronaut, during that preparation. In flight conditioning, when you are in space, you require to load bones, because bones are not loaded, because muscles are not active, there's no gravity. Improve muscle functions. Muscles are not functioning well as they should function every day. Autonomic conditioning. Your blood flow is not as proper because there's a fluid shift towards head side. So you look like your head becomes swollen up and legs become thin like sticks. Reduced extra vascular fluid volume. A lot of fluid gone to extra, so there will be some swelling in the body. Therefore, you get hypovolemia, or also you get anemia. So, in flight conditioning, we propose this protocol: the yoga involving spinal bending, dynamic poses, yoga breathing exercises. We really do not know how to reduce extravascular fluid volume. One of the important kriya, of some of the cleansing kriyas may be helpful, or kind of a yogic massage could be helpful. But how to give, this is what the fluid shift is important. And static and dynamic stretching of lower limb. And there are several yoga postures which we classified in this and which can be performed. So this is again in-flight conditioning. That's what I told you: spinal poses, breathing exercises, meditation, and dynamic. And this, the mechanism of effect of yoga has already worked out, and we have published several papers how they influence our physiological function. Now, once you have been there into space and you come back, then if you come back, then there's a purpose of training, because the muscles, you have lost the muscles, the bones are weak, and your autonomic nervous system has deconditioned. Therefore, to improve autonomic conditioning for fluid volume shifts and also the muscle, we have to devise some yoga protocol. So these are the yoga protocol we suggested. Post flight, after you come from the space: static sitting, yoga postures, yoga breathing, dynamic yogic exercises, and meditation. And maybe we can add on underwater exercises and passive pressure suit, something like that can be devised so as to help. This is the first astronaut, Indian astronaut. In 1984, he went to space by help of the Russian spacecraft Soyuz. But the important part, before going, the people performed yoga here on Earth. So in a way, he was the first person to perform yoga in space, and they were trained in Russia for the yoga. And recently, we published a paper which could be helpful for the yoga protocol, like 365 breathing techniques to reduce intraocular pressure and autonomic function in patients with glaucoma. the space astronaut also suffer with the eye problem, and there can be eye disturbances, including pressure changes and other fluid shift, because so there can be a glaucoma because the fluid has shifted to head side. Therefore, such a result is useful. This is the paper. Yoga practitioners exhibit higher parasympathetic activity and bioflex sensitivity and a better adaptability to 40 millimeters of lower body negative pressure. Therefore, it is better suited for astronaut. And this is so already. So this is India's first research in yoga space when Rakesh Sharma went and he practiced this yoga. I show you some more information. So one requires a special suit and gear to move parts of the body with respect to the other while performing dynamic posture, and that's what we have produced and we have given to this world. So this is the suggested yoga protocol pre-flight, in space, and post-flight. Basically, I've already told you in detail. In order to prepare for the astronaut, when astronaut in space, in order to prevent bone muscle and bone loss, and when he comes back, to strengthen his autonomic conditioning and muscle functioning. So future validation can be done by simulation on earth. Further validation, we have already done one single validation, and also when person Indian goes to space, this can be taken to space and they can perform. So prolonged bed rest, this is one of the technique used for micro simulation for months, 2 months to 6 months. NASA has been putting people lying on bed for 6 to 7 months and trying to see what happens to their muscle function and bone. And in the protocols, we can use our body gear and can help. They are similarly dry immersion water, lower body positive pressure, lower limb immersion model, virtual simulation, as and horizontal exercise like this. Person can be asked to do horizontal exercise because then that way fluid will shift to head side. Also, the neck exercises advised by yoga will be very helpful for the neurovestibular system, which goes haywire in space. It's very difficult. So we conclude that the present body gear and yoga prescribed will be useful for performing exercise to improve autonomic conditioning in microgravity in future. I give you some more ideas before I conclude. This is the one thing, like last year, 2020, there was a one exercise for children. They wanted to show if you do yoga on Earth, can you do in space? So they put a one camera on Earth, one camera in space, and on Earth the girl is doing Trikonasana, and then same in space. So it was very difficult for her to do. Look at she's hooking the feet under some rod, and even she was waving front and back, so they have to put some rope like structure. So this is what exactly in 2015-17 we thought and created a body gear, which so this is already available. Therefore, by fixing the body, one can perform. So this is a yoga in space. There's the earth camera, there's space camera, and this was meant for the kids. So I think in India should also come up to teach how to understand space physiology, and so that children will understand, because they are the future astronauts or future researchers. So this is the one. Jamie does yoga on earth, and Samantha does yoga in space. They are two, and they are trying to do yoga on earth and yoga. So this is the kind of a playing back. This is not meant for the purpose, but they were just trying to toy around this thing. Something similar here. So when astronaut is performing Garudasana in space, she goes haywire. She starts flowing. So by the help of support by ropes, she can fix on the ground and can perform some yoga. Therefore, we have to create a specific body gears for a specific yogasana. So this is Samantha is again performing Virabhadra asana and also trying to perform Padmasana. Now this is the latest news. Last 2023 on International Day of Yoga. This is the first astronaut from UAE, and he this called Al Nadi, Sultan Al Nadi. So he is performing Padmasana in space in UAE, and he posted this photograph from this, and he was very happy that I'm practicing a bit of yoga on International Day of Yoga. This is from UAE, from uh, Middle East. Now look at here. He's floating in the air. He's performing like levitation. So in space, he's virtually doing Padmasan, and he's trying to balance his act so that he doesn't touch to the left or other side. So this is Amiat UAE astronaut. Rakesh Sharma also gave an interview in NDTV in 2024, and then he described he's also performing yoga in space. He also performed yoga in space, so he became the first yogi, or they call it yogi, Antariksh yogi, or Gaganyatri. And this is what all this information is already available. This is an interview conducted by Pallav Wagla on him, and this is all information. So a way ahead, use of simulation models for various experiments. That's what we have done. Collect research evidence, long-term educational, technological, and economical impact it will have, and therefore we should start including school children and teach them about these technology. Intense collaboration. Earth application of space biology research is important, and this is the one which I was interviewed by the media, and AIMS develops anti-gravity body gear in a space. 2017 we developed, and then it was interviewed. So with that, these are some of the website available. I can share these things. And this is our team. 2020, we were invited by ISRO, and we went there. You see the behind orange color. This is the actual replica of the crew module, which is going to moon. And inside the window, you can one astronaut can go inside. 3 people can go inside. I just tested myself. I went inside and saw. And so these are a team. I work with a team who's been working, and with the AIMS, IITs, and other institutional. I was a visiting professor under MOU to UCSD, and those people who were working on space borne problems, Dr. Ellen Hagen. So I was also met German experts who are in charge of the space physiology. So in this, I come towards end. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Thank you, sir, for your
Okay.
valuable insights on
Thank
this
you.
topic. I appreciate your thoughtful perspective on this matter. If you have any queries, please make a telephonic conversation with him.
Thank you.
Now, I would like to invite Dr. Amit Kumar Nayak for his presentation.